Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Doctor of Ministry information session. If you are joining us on Facebook, please invite people that you believe will benefit from this discussion. I would also like to encourage you to share our video on your page. You never know who will scroll through your page to find this video that may help them to determine their next steps on their theological education. And although we have 10 tracks within our doctoral program, tonight we will focus on community witness and social justice. Here with me is our wonderful Associate Dean of Doctoral Studies, Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore, as well as our cohort mentor, Dr. Andre Johnson. Will you all please introduce yourselves to the audience?
Absolutely. Thank you, Fakisha Gunn. I appreciate that. So my name is Christy Woodbury-Moore. I am an assistant professor of spiritual formation, the director of supervised ministry, and yes, I am also the associate dean for doctoral studies. Do I need to give them any background?
Yes.
Yes. Oh gosh. Okay, here we go. I was born in, I'm joking. I'm not gonna do that. I am originally from Jackson, Mississippi. I'm a Southern girl. I went to Tuskegee University where I received a chemical engineering degree, and then I moved on to Minnesota where I received an MBA. I worked there for many years as a manufacturing engineer, and then my call to ministry accosted me to the point where I left Minnesota, went to Richmond, Virginia to get an MDiv at Virginia Union University. And I also got my Doctor of Ministry degree there as well. What else I need to tell the people? I need to tell them what I'm doing now. Here we go. All right. So I'm also licensed and ordained Baptist minister. I'm also a first lady in the Baptist church. My husband is the pastor of the Metropolitan Baptist Church, which is located right across the street from Lemoyne Owen College on Walker Avenue in the South Side of Memphis, Tennessee. I am a wife, a mother of an 8-year-old, a caregiver to a mom, and a friend, and all of these great things. And so I'm so excited to be here. I love the adult student. And so I'm excited about what we're getting ready to discuss tonight. Awesome. I did better than you, Andre. You're muted.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is just Andre, and I'm just honored to be here. No, that's all right. I'm the Reverend Dr. Andre Johnson. I am the cohort mentor for the social justice D-Men cohort at Memphis Theological Seminary. I'm also professor of rhetoric and media studies at the University of Memphis, where I currently am the Benjamin W. Rollins professor in communication there. I am also, my research intersects with rhetoric, race, and religion. And again, I am just so excited to talk about this particular program and what it is that we are doing and what we want to do and what we are planning to do. So thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to share tonight.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for your introductions. Dr. Andre Johnson, I'm just going to jump on in there. Can you tell us about your connection to this work of social justice and community witness?
Yeah, been at it for a while now. I look at social justice, or what we call social justice, as just an extension of my faith. I don't see any kind of separation. I believe if you are a person of faith within the Christian tradition, you ought to be about social justice. So it's just a part of who I am. It's not something that I have to think about. It's not something that I have to. I don't even get a vote. I don't get to decide if I want to do this or not. What I do decide is I discern where my calling is within a particular plane or space or a place. But you know, some of the stuff that we hear in theological circles and in biblical study circles about social justice not being part of the gospel is just unfathomable to me. So that's what I do. That's who I am. And I believe it is honoring all and within my faith tradition.
Wonderful. I do know that you currently came out with a book. Can you kind of give us a little backdrop about the journey of writing through this, through the essence and the objective of this book that you have that came out, I believe, last month?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knew this or not, but me and my co-author Amanda Nell Egger wrote The Summer of 2020. George Floyd. Oh, there it is. It's right up there in the background, right there. The Summer of 2020, George Floyd and the Resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement. And basically, what we chronicle is the Summer of 2020. What did it mean for people to protest during the pandemic? That was almost the title, protesting during the pandemic. What did it mean for people to step out? And many of them step out on faith, led by their faith, of the most deadliest pandemic since 1918. What did it mean for people to come together? A lot of them, for the first time, finally getting what many advocates of Black Lives Matter and other social justice movements have been saying for years. And to come out and to stand with a body, a voice, and a sound. What did it mean for Black Lives Matter to become, in the summer of 2020, the largest social movement in American history? And what did it mean for the whole world to galvanize around BLM in the summer of 2020? And what did it mean in the different spots and places and spaces where people who had never, ever protested, never, ever joined in, especially with BLM, who was, who at first was just not for, supported BLM in any kind of way? What did it mean for them finally to say that these people out here might be on to something? What did it mean for churches to re-examine their theological foundation and trying to preach a gospel that kept members safe, but also preaching a gospel that called for social justice, that called for a body, a voice, and a sign, that called for a public witnessing? So that's what we kind of talk about in the book. And we're trying to get people to remember 2020, because also in 2020 was the beginning of a presidential campaign. It was an election year in 2020. And so what did it mean for people to finally begin to understand the importance of electoral politics, which we will touch on a little bit later when we talk about our class offerings and stuff in this program. But we want people to remember, and I've been going around trying to get people to remember what the summer of 2020 looked like. And for a lot of people, it was a messy summer. But there were people by faith, led by their faith, and folk who was concerned enough to still go out and declare Black Lives Matter. And that's what the book is about. And I hope people will be able to pick it up and get it. And please read it and tell me what you think about it.
That's awesome. Sounds so so exciting to be able to read. I want to go back to something that you made mention earlier, which I think is really important. You shared that social justice is not separate from who you are. It's something that you're not told to do, but it's something that just comes out of you because it's a part of you. Can you speak a little bit to someone who may be interested in the program and whether or not they need to be a part of pastoral leadership in order to be able to participate?
No, because if you are a called person of God, you don't necessarily need to be a pastor to honor a call. So if you are, and this is one of the reasons why I agreed to become the faculty mentor for this cohort, this particular cohort, First, because I am just so invested. My research agenda is social justice and social movements and the prophetic rhetoric, prophetic ministry, those type of things. But number two, and more importantly, we saw when I first talked to Dr. Woodbury-Moore, we saw this as a perfect cohort for people who were not senior pastors or even staff pastors, just laity, people who are maybe deacons and missionaries, especially missionaries, anyone who really wanted to begin to really understand the theological foundations and frameworks of what social gospel and social ministry and public witnessing is all about, but also people who wanted to step up their own game. There are a lot of people who are doing great and wonderful work and would never ever think that they're actually doing ministry or social justice or anything like that. But you are. Every time you feed someone who are hungry, you give clothes to someone who needs them. If you go visit folk in the hospital or in prison, you're doing as one person a long time ago told me, I just love this phrase. He said, you're doing the Jesus stuff. That's what Jesus said. Matter of fact, that's what Matthew tells us, right? Go feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the prison by it. I mean, talk to people and and you're doing that already. And what this program to do is to give you a theoretical and theological framework, but also to give you partners in ministry so that you can begin to dream and to develop and to vision even things that you have never even thought before. So we want to bring all of that energy, all of that excitement together, and we want people to do the work that God has been calling them. Somebody listening to me right now, you have this feeling in the pit of your spirit, in your soul, in your stomach, deep within, and you know that it's the right time, but maybe you're a little nervous, maybe you're afraid, you don't have you don't think that you have the wherewithal to do it. I'm telling you right now, you do. And you ought to just come and be a part of this wonderful cohort where you are going to meet other wonderful people, where you'll get great instruction. You'll find partners who are doing the same stuff that you are doing or that you want to do, and you can then you can fulfill what it is that God has already placed in your spirit.
While you were talking, I hope this is okay for Keisha, for me to kind of jump right in. As Dr. Johnson was kind of talking about what you can gain from being a part of this cohort, and the fact that the cohort model in the DMIN program is not necessarily for people who are in pastoral or ministry. I wanted to speak specifically in terms of what is so special and unique about the DMIN program itself for those who might already be in this, already doing this work, already doing something related to social justice in your everyday life, in your everyday ministry. So one of the things that I think is a privilege in terms of doctoral work is that you get to be very intentional. You get to be very intentional, and you get to stick with the thing for at least 3 years, right? And so for a DMIN program, it is not a theoretical degree, it's a practical degree. So it's situated and rooted in a context. Oftentimes we want to do this work, but we want to boil the ocean. And I'm saying that in the DMIN program, we don't boil the ocean. We're very specific about our corner in the world, and we chip away at our corner and our corner alone. This allows us to go deep and narrow versus wide and vague. And we want to be very specific because particular context needs particular solutions, not something that is blanketed across everywhere. So when you're entering into a DMIN program, particularly our program in community justice and social witness, our goal is that you are in a specific context. The problem that you are trying to address, the issue, the concern that you are trying to address is specific to your particular context. This allows you to dig, to uncover and take off all of the layers that may be within your context so that you might find the root of the issue and begin to address the root where it is. And so that's part of it. The other piece about our DMIN program is that in this process, say you're already doing this work, you already know people, you're already doing it. But in this process, you get to read more books about it. You get to hear what other people are doing because we are better together. So you get to hear from other minds that are in the room with you. You get to build community with people who are doing this work. Meaning when your nerves are bad and you need to talk to somebody, you got some folks within your own cohort that you can call and say, hey, sis, hey, brother, listen, can you help me work through this challenge? The other piece is that within the cohort, you also begin to think about what it is that God is inviting you to do when this DMIN is over. And let me be very specific. The DMIN is not the end, but the beginning of the next for you. That is how I consider this terminal degree. While it is a terminal degree, it doesn't end your work. It actually moves your work to the next level. So now you can think about the resource that you want to create for your community, the curriculum that you're writing, the books such as the Summer of 2020 that Dr. Johnson has put together. You get to think about the nonprofit organization. Black Lives Matter didn't start with pastors. They start with real women who are in the community doing work and saw a need and said, hey, let me step up. Well, you who are listening to this and it's considering the social justice and community witness cohort, you are in the community. You see a need, and maybe this is your season to think in terms of how do I step up to meet that need that is specific to my area. And so when you work through this 3-year program and you see it on the other side, you begin to see that our objective and your goal was to go narrow and to really focus in on your context. And that is very important because your context is just as specific as your DNA. There is no corner in the world that is exactly like another corner in the world. And I am a strong believer that if we would just figure that thing out in terms of where is God calling us to chip away at this mountain, if we can just figure out where we're supposed to chip, then the mountain can move if we know where we're called to do it and what we're called to do.
Awesome. Dr. Woodbury-Moore, you kind of transitioned us into my next question that I have for you. The community witness and social justice track has undergone some restructuring. Can you share a bit about what that restructuring looks like and what students can plan on experiencing?
Okay, absolutely. So our first community witness and social justice cohort started about 1.5 years or so ago. And we still have that cohort mentor as well, and those students going through the program. And so with this new cohort mentor with Dr. Johnson, we kind of sat down and kind of wanted to think about other ways that we can do this work. So we wanted to make sure that the course offerings we had were relevant. We wanted to make sure that we had some wonderful and quality people that could bring us some fresh ideas and fresh momentum into the program. And so Dr. Johnson and I kind of sat down, we talked through what we already had, and then we said, okay, what can we do? Where do we need to make the shift? Where do we need to make the change? And one of the things we decided to do was with the immersion. We said, what if there was something that was already happening year after year that we can really get the students to really do a deep baptism into social justice? And one of those events is the Proctor Conference. That happens every year in February. There are many workshops that are happening during that conference. And so the students can pick what types of workshops they want to be a part of. But also Dr. Johnson at the end of those days will have a talk back with them. What did you learn? What did you experience? What are you feeling? This would also help the student think about how to craft their project. What is the thing that they're really considering? What resonated with them at the conference? But they also get to make connections because those who attend the Proctor Conference are those who are invested in social justice. So now they are meeting other people. They're meeting scholars and those who are doing this work in their communities as well. So that was one of the things we decided to do. Another thing we thought about was how do we make the shift in terms of thinking about where we are politically in the world, right? So we didn't want to just offer courses that were blanketed, but we really wanted to deal with where the discernment of the times as of right now. And so, to be quite honest, I see this as an iteration that will continue over the next 2 to 3 years. So we won't always have the exact same thing all the time. Why? Because the challenges that we face shift. We are dynamic. This world is dynamic. The issues that we have are dynamic. And so we need people who are always thinking in terms of the pulse of the community, the pulse of what we need. And so in so doing, we decided to make a few changes. And Dr. Johnson, I'm going to have you kind of talk a little bit about some of them. The second residency is one of the bigger changes, but the first one is on biblical and theological foundations of practical ministry. That's the very first residency. It's important for the students to get a very sound understanding of what does it mean to do practical ministry in terms of our theological understanding of that and our biblical understanding of that. And so in so doing, Dr. Johnson, he has the largest network I can think of. And so we have an amazing instructor that I'm going to let him say that is going to teach that course.
All right. Let me be the first to announce to everybody, and we will have flyers and postings up on social media about this, hopefully a little bit later on this week. But our very first professor in residency 1, biblical and theological foundations, of practical ministry is the Reverend Dr. Cassandra Gould. She is currently an AME minister, serving right now at Metropolitan AME Church in Washington, D.C. But you may know her from her work in St. Louis and in Ferguson and in Jefferson City, Missouri, and all of the places that she has been. And we are so excited to have her, the very first professor to kick us off with the biblical and theological foundations of practical ministry. One of the reasons why she came to mind is simply that she not only is grounded in the theological and frameworks and theoretical frameworks, but as a practitioner with the Ferguson uprising that were happening 10 years ago. You imagine that's 10 years ago, 2014 in August. And all of the work she has done nationwide as well as worldwide with the different church communities. She is an awesome, awesome professor, and we are so glad to be able to have her come and be the very first teacher to kick us off biblical and theological foundations of ministry. We will have more, as I said, on her bio, the information about who she is and what she has done. And she is so excited. And I hope she's listening. So if she is, shout out to Dr. Gould for joining us on this journey.
All right. And so residency 2, we have the title of our discussion there will be political theology and social justice. And that is the instructor for that residency is the Reverend Dr. Earl Fisher.
Earl Fisher, yes, my good friend. And many of us, first of all, senior pastor of the Blackest Church in Ship County, Abyssinian Baptist Church out in Whitehaven. You may know him as one of the lead architects of several social justice movements here in the city of Memphis. Right now, he is in leading efforts to not have our state legislators here in Tennessee pass a law saying that cities cannot study, not give, but study reparations. And so he has led an effort to get many signatures on a document that we're sending up to the State House in hopes that that will move the legislators from not, disallowing, I should say, cities and counties from studying just the need for reparations. But he has been instrumental in the Justice for Tyree movement, Free Purpose Pain, and a whole host of Taking Down 901. So we are excited. And the reason why we wanted the political theology and social justice is because we thought that we need to understand the political ramification as it relates to our theology and our theoretical framework. So we thought that the Reverend Dr. Earl Fisher would be an excellent choice to do that. So not only do you have Dr. Cassandra Gould, but you also have the Reverend Dr. Earl Fisher.
Absolutely. Now I want you to try to unpack this, Dr. Johnson. Our third residency is rhetoric, race, and religion, Christian nationalism. So go slow, Reverend.
Oh, Lord. Do we have enough time? Do we have enough time? Yes, and that is going to be taught by myself and the Reverend Dr. Tom First, who is the pastor of First United Methodist Church right here in the city of Memphis, Tennessee. A little bit about Reverend Dr. First. He is, first of all, one of my former graduate students at the University of Memphis. He finished his PhD in 2022. His dissertation was on the prophetic rhetoric. Check this out now, Dr. Woodbury-Moore, the prophetic rhetoric of African-American call narratives of the 19th century. And I have been informed that there is a publication on the way. That's all I can say. There is a publication on the way for Dr. First. Dr. First is also a leader, not only within his denomination, but here in the city as well. He stood out there with me with Free Purpose Pain campaign. He has been a participant in several of the social justice campaigns. And what he brings to this class, and the reason why I wanted to co-teach it with him, he brings to the class an intimate knowledge of Christian nationalism. And that is now the buzz phrase, right? That's been going around and people have been, so what is it? And why are people talking about it now? And what are some of the issues and problems with Christian nationalism? And we're going to study this in a unique way. We're going to study from a rhetorical, racial, and religious studies framework in order to unpack the arguments that many people are making, because there are some Christian nationalists who would tell you that social justice is not part of the gospel. We fundamentally disagree with them. We believe that social justice is the heart of the gospel. Matter of fact, it is the gospel. And the only reason why we have to separate it is because we need to in order for people to know and understand what it is that we're talking about. So we are excited about that class. Reverend Dr. Thomas First, pastor of First United Methodist Church downtown, and author of a forthcoming book. That's all I can say. But I am so excited to be teaching that class with him, and I think that the students will have a wonderful time in their classes.
All right, so we have Residency 5, which is, we just talked about the immersion experience, which will be the Proctor Conference. And so Residency 5 is community organizing for social justice. And so that is Dr. Hassan and Dr. Sekou, right?
Yes, Mahisha Hassan and Osajavu Sekou. Oh my God. So Residency 5 helps us to put it all together. What does it look like to actually sit down and do a community organizing plan? what does it look like to help your members if you are a pastor? Join in and community organize. How do we plan this? What are these actions? What do we see when we think about social movement? We think about all of these wonderful movements that's been going on, but there have been some planning. So what we want to try to do in Residency 5 is to sit down and to map out and to help students understand what planning looks like. And especially going back to what you were saying earlier, Dr. Woodbury-Moore, about going deep. So how does one go deep if you do not have any kind of structure or any kind of plan in order for you to not just to do it, but in this, you also got to write about it. That's what that class is going to be. Community organizing for social justice. What does it mean to have, as we do at Gifts of Life Ministry? We have declared ourselves a social justice church. So what does that mean? What does it mean to go out and to do those type of things? Working with your elected officials, working with other stakeholders in the community, working with people that you may think you don't have anything in common with, but sitting down over a cup of coffee, you find out that you do. How do you make that work? How do you navigate those spaces and places? That's what Reverend Hassan and Reverend Sekou will help our students do, and I'm so looking forward to it.
I want to say one thing to what Dr. Johnson was saying, and then I saw the question. I'm going to attempt to answer it a little bit, but I'm going to get Dr. Johnson to also add some feedback. I wanted to share just a little bit about how our residencies are set up. We always like to begin with biblical and theological foundations. We rather start there than starting the other way around. Why? Because every day and everything we do, we theologize, meaning we have an understanding of God, self, and neighbor in every single thing we do. We make decisions based on our understanding of God, self, and neighbor every single day of our lives. And so if we begin with the theology, it will help to shape our understandings as we move forward. The other piece about our DMIN programs is that we are intentional about having an immersion experience. Not all DMIN programs have an immersion experience, and that's okay. But we wanted to make sure we had an experience where the students can be in some way really baptized in this work, that they are not just simply are in a classroom learning and reading, but they are able to get their hands and feet dirty in the process. Because it is in, I think, this hands and feet dirty that you begin to feel and discern what God is calling you to as well. And so I wanted to make sure I made that a point, because this is what you'll see. If you were to look at any of our other tracks, you'd see this same process, starting with biblical and theological foundations, and immersion experience is in there as well. The other thing that I saw in the Q&A is that a student was asking, what types of justice or injustices will we discuss? Well, what we know about social justice is that it is a very broad topic. And so in any issue, when we're talking about justice for the marginalized, that can be, you can close your eyes and pick something. And so when we're talking about justice, I'm sure there will be discussions on restorative justice, eco-justice, reproductive justice, educational justice, justice in the prison system and the judicial system as well. So all of these topics will be hit on in some way. Now, will the courses dig deep into one topic? Maybe not, but guess what? If your call is to dig into reproductive justice, then your bibliography and the work you do in terms of your project will be extensive around the resources for reproductive justice. So what I know about our professors who will be teaching the residency is that they're going to give you resources that it's going to help you think more deeply about your work. And so the resources that you will be given in terms of the books that you will purchase are books that's going to help you ask this more specific question. What does this book have to do with my work? How do I translate what I'm learning in this resource here to what it is I am called to do in my context? So hopefully that helps to answer a part of that question. Dr. Johnson, do you have anything to add?
You answered that quite well, because I was going to say something similar, because this is the beauty of the cohorts, and this is the beauty of the residencies, because when an individual comes with the burning in their spirit and hearts for social justice and doing ministry, that's going to be that person's. And all of us are going to learn a little bit something about that. All of us are going to participate a little bit. What we try to do as your instructors is to give you the overall framework in order for you to go deeper and to have the resources so you can do the things again that God is calling you to do. And so what we want to do is provide you the structure and the foundation and allow you to be led by the Spirit to do whatever God is calling you to do.
Super. Thank you all for answering that question. Did you all want to talk a little bit about the independent study implementation and project report that comes in the last residency?
Sure. So the last residency is an independent study, meaning you would not come on campus for a week like you would for the other residency. This last residency is where the rubber meets the road in terms of your implementing your project, analyzing the data for your project, and finalizing your project document. And so that process is you really just doing a lot of writing and reading, also working with an advisor. So it is in that residency where you get an advisor and they help to coach you and work with you so that you might reach the oral exam, which will happen that next March. And then you can get on across this stage in May. And so that last residency is not an in-person residency, but it's really you finishing your writing. I always tell my students is that the DMin program is set up for you to be proactive and for you to lead this process. This is your project, your work, your call. And so in so doing, it's also up to you to make sure you lay out a plan so that you might be able to defend your oral exam or do the oral exam. I don't want to use the word defend because this isn't a PhD, but to have the conversation around your project, which is what we call an oral exam. And so we want to make sure that when you go into residency 6, you have all of the tools you need, all of the tools, meaning you get your first tool in residency 1. That's the beginning of your toolkit. And it is in that residency where you can begin to flesh out your theological and biblical understanding, which means, now I'm going to talk like a dean, which means we should have a chapter, something, some written document that you're starting in residency 1, so that when you get to residency 6, amen, somebody, you are not starting from scratch. Okay, I'm done talking as the dean.
I know that students have questions about the format of the doctoral program in residencies 1 through 5. Can you talk about that a bit?
Okay, so format, it's a week-long residency, and you will have those dates at least a year in advance. Our DMin, the terms are a little different than our master's degree. The Doctor of Ministry's fall begins June 1st with a residency in July. The spring begins December 1st with a residency in January. I know, write it down, think about it. Here we go, I'll try it again. The fall, it starts June 1 with an in-person residency in July. And the spring begins December 1 with an in-person residency in January. Now, what does that mean? It's in-person as in 5 days a week. That's right, Monday through Friday. Okay, so that means you get in town on Sunday night. On Monday morning, we have community worship. I would love to see you there. I need you there. Community worship, where we come together, we talk about the struggle. We thank God for what the Lord is getting ready to do. And then you are dismissed that same day to class. You'll be in class from 9 to 5. That's all right. It's okay. 9 to 5 every day. You'll be all right. And then by the end of the week, your professor will give you instructions in terms of assignments that will be due later on in the term. So let me be very clear. While there is a 5-day in-person residency, know that the semester is still 13 weeks long. All right, that's right. So there will be work that you'll need to do when the residency is over. And so during the week while you're on campus, You'll have class. Your professor will let you out for 30 minutes to an hour lunch. You will probably have assignments every night. You'll have some readings every night. You'll have probably a final or some kind of final assignment that's due that Friday. So I wouldn't book a flight Friday morning. So you'll have some work that will be due by that Friday. And then you'll get some instructions on what's due later on in that month or later on in the term. So that's usually how the residencies go. And for the immersion is, if it's at Proctor, then you go to Proctor, and that's it. You go to Proctor, you listen to Dr. Johnson. He'll give you a syllabus about Proctor and all of the reflections that you may need to do there. But there is no secondary residency with the immersion. The immersion trip is the residency. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I don't see that we have any additional questions, but did you all have any final thoughts that you would like to share with those who are watching?
I would like to share this. I know Dr. Woodbury-Moore and I are talking, and I'm continuing to talk about what I'm calling added benefits to this cohort. And right off the top of my head, I'm going to list 3 that we are working on right now. First, students in this cohort will also not only benefit from the professors that we name, that's going to be the instructors of record for the residency, but they will also benefit from guest lecturers throughout the classes. What we want to try to do is to bring in people to give 1 hour, 1.5 hour talks or lectures to help supplement, to fulfill, to add on to the rich education that they're already receiving. And going back to that earlier question about the different types of social justices, remember, we're being led by the Spirit as well too. So something is, like we say, if something pops off, and we need to talk about it, well, we might need to reach out to somebody who's right in the middle of that can come in and talk to us about it. So we want to be able to do that in a couple of the class settings. So guest lecturers are one. Also, or guest teachers, I should say. Second one is the guest lecturer piece, which means that one day out of the week, we want to have someone actually deliver a full-throated lecture on a topic. And one of the things that we're going to do is, the way we find this person, we're going to initiate a call. We're going to just initiate a call and say, hey, here's a call for someone to give a guest lecture, do this, that, and the other, and submit your proposal. And we'll have a team to look at it, and that person would get an opportunity to deliver, maybe on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, virtually, a lecture that will supplement, again, to be a part of this wonderful experience that the students are already getting. And the last thing is that after the residency, we are trying to do some 1 day, maybe even half a day symposiums, where again, there will be a call. People will submit. So people who just finished a D-Min somewhere, and you want to submit your work, you want to talk about what it is that you did, you can do that as well too. We are going to make this D-Min experience, this community witness social justice experience, one for the ages. We want you to not only get the information you need to do the things that you're called to do, but also we really want you to be able to share with others, and like I said, build partnerships, meet new people, end up at conferences, go to conferences like Proctor or Hampton or wherever, and do things together. And I guess the last thing, just for me as a person who writes and publishes, I would love to help students publish their D-Min projects. One of the things that I know now that's out here now is that people are looking for opportunities to not just finish a project, get it in a nice bounded book, and then put it on a shelf, but wanting to turn that into some practical, hands-on, tangible reading for people who are looking for material. There are people in our churches, and I truly believe this, that are just sitting there aching, looking for information to help them understand the faith better. And I think that if you're going to invest the time, the energy, and the money to do a D-Min, that you should put your work out there. So we're going to be working with students as well in hopes that at the end of this, that you can get your D-Min for your D-Min thesis and your D-Min project published.
I'll just end with just a few things that I thought about. I have a D-Min, and I want to say this as I was going through the process, and even as I reflect on it. I know so often we get into competition mode. My school is better than yours. But this isn't a competition. I don't feel that. I don't feel that this is a competition. As a matter of fact, I do believe that those who come to MTS are called to come to this school. Yeah. They are called. The Lord has moved them. Something has resonated in their spirit from someone that either has attended or they've looked at the website and they're discerning. And so I truly believe that your call to come to this school at this time is really something between you and the Lord. I truly believe that. And as you are discerning, know that my goal, my hope is that when you come into the D-Min program, that you are ready to transform communities. You are ready to make changes in the communities that will outlive you. You are ready to leave a legacy of ministry that goes beyond your name, your title. It goes beyond you, and that you are ready to help people, help set them free, help free them up to live full lives, not in glory, but on this side. And so I really believe that. And so as you are discerning, if you are trying to figure it out, I say, I don't want anyone to come to the school not called to come. I really believe that if it's God's will for you, then the necessary doors will open for you, and you will walk through them, and you will get what you need. And so I pray that you would discern what the Lord is asking you to do in this season, and try your very best not to be afraid. Try hard not to be afraid of any aspect of it. And if God is giving you the yes, then I want you to try your hardest to walk in the yes and watch the Lord open the doors for you. That is my prayer.
I'll rate just a little bit on that, because I want to send a special word out to current activists, people who are already doing this work. This may be a program for you as well, to help you begin to navigate and to begin to reassess, to strengthen, to empower your own ministry and the things that you are already doing. And we can learn from you as well. So I am talking to all of my activist friends right now that's thinking, that's looking at this and saying, wow, this might be something. I've heard from several of you. I've heard from people who have finished an MDiv, and I've heard from people who have been pastoring for years, who are considering, and people who are in a whole other career, but thinking about this for their career, meaning that, okay, I need to understand what I can do grounded in social justice in being who I am already, whether it is a banker or an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor or whomever, or a teacher. You have an opportunity right now to come and to be a part of this wonderful cohort. And I guarantee you that if you are coming by way of Dr. Woodbury-Moore, by listening to your heart, and you feel you're called to be here, you will be in the place where you can grow and be nurtured, not only in the faith, but with other people traveling the same road that you're traveling. So I invite you to come and hashtag bear witness with us.
You all, thank you so very, very much. This was so informative and very helpful. You all touched on some points and some questions that people had that they didn't even know that they had. And so thank you so much for this enlightening time. So right now we're going to shift a little bit and we're going to move into talking about how to actually apply. All righty, so we can go to the Memphis Theological Seminary website. You can go to Become a Student. You'll go to Degree Programs. You'll scroll all the way down till you get to Doctor of Ministry. Like I shared before at the beginning of this session, is that we actually have 10 different tracks in our DMin program. The one we talked about tonight is Community Witness and Social Justice. On April 22nd at 6 p.m. On Memphis Theological Seminary Facebook page, we will talk about Woman is Preaching. And then also we have a new track called the General Track, which will also be shared on April 29th at 6 p.m. So each of these different blocks have a program guide. To find out more, all you'll need to do is just click on Learn More, and it will take you to this particular program guide. Let me make sure. And as you can see, our DMin cohort mentor, Dr. Andre Johnson, is featured on the front of Community Witness and Social Justice. Just to give you an overview of the program, it has 32 credit hours and that will be $650 per credit hour for the semester, for a total cost of $3,255 because each semester is 5 credit hours per semester. The last semester is going to be 7 credit hours. The next cohort is coming up this July. So April 30th is the deadline for your DMin application. But this week, Dr. Christy Woodbury-Moore has been so gracious that she is extending it. And she's also allowing for us to be able to waive the application fee. So just make sure that you all go ahead and move forward with submitting your full application. What the admissions requirements looks like is that you'll need a master's degree in a ministry related area with a minimum of 3.0 GPA or its equivalents. Let me just pause right here. So whether you have an MDiv, an MTS, or a MACM, Master of Arts in Christian Ministry, those are not the only degrees that we accept. If you have a master's degree in social work, a master's degree in accounting, if you have a master's degree, you can still apply for this particular program. The only difference is that if you do not have a degree that is in theology, you will have to take what's considered leveling courses. And those leveling courses are for your benefit, and it is so that you can have the necessary tools to be able to flow through this particular DMin program. So we definitely encourage you that if you do not have a master's degree in theology, please still apply. Also, if you are under a 3.0 GPA, we still encourage you to apply because the admissions committee will still review the total application. And so we don't want that to be a hindering factor. You'll also need to supply us with official transcripts of both undergrad and graduate school programs. You'll need 3 recommendation letters. Now with the DMin recommendation letters, we're asking for you to submit recommendation letters from people who know your work, who have worked with you, just as long as they're not family. Okay. The last thing that you'll be able to you'll need to turn in is your reflection paper, which is 5 to 8 pages. That will talk about a brief biography, a statement of your theology of ministry, and an assessment of your practice of ministry. Just a few things that need to be turned in. Okay. Dr. Christy already spoke about the way that the semesters are formatted. Remember that the fall semester starts June 1st and the spring semester starts December 1st. But I want to take you to a spot that I think will definitely benefit you on the MTS webpage. So I'm going to go back to the DMin webpage, I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. What you'll see will be other information sessions of other DMin cohorts, just in case you're interested. But I want to take you all the way to the bottom where it shows the important cohort dates for the next 3 years. So the first day for fall 2024 will remain June 1st of each year, but the residency dates, the residency weeks will be different, but they're already listed. This is important because you'll need to be able to craft your schedule in such a way that you'll be able to make it here. So make sure that you take a look at that. Also, if you're looking at tuition amounts, just click this box right here, DMin tuition table, so that you'll be able to take a look at the what it would cost per semester to be able to be a part of the DMin program. If you would like to speak with a recruiter, you can click on this button right here. Just give us information, and within 24 to 48 hours, a recruiter will reach back out to you. I know you see the lineup of these beautiful pictures that are scrolling across the screen. These are pictures of students who have gone through the Doctor of Ministry program, who are currently in the program, and also those who have graduated from the program. You may come on here and see someone that you know that you didn't think or know where they got their Doctor of Ministry program or Doctor of Ministry degree from. Well, they got it from MTS. Another thing is if you're ready to move forward and apply, go ahead and start the application. We have a student portal, so you can go in, start a little bit, and then come back to it. What I like about our student portal is the fact that when you go in and you put in your credentials, you'll start the application. There is going to be a checklist. Within the checklist, you'll already see that it has the 3 recommendation spots in there. If you just put their name and email address and click submit, it will email them the recommendation letter to complete. Also, for your transcripts, we do have a limited transcript list or limited school list, but your school may be in our list. So go ahead and go into the into the transcript portion of the application and put in your school, search for it. And if it's in there, you can order the transcript through the application. So we try to make this as streamlined as possible, so that students will be able to have a smooth process. I also want to encourage current students or alum, if you're a part of, have been, or you are currently a part of MTS, we probably already have your transcripts. So that should be able to take care of a crucial part of your of the process. And so remember, become a student, degree programs, you'll go into all the way down to Doctor of Ministry, and all the information that you'll need will be on the Doctor of Ministry page. If you're a person that would prefer to speak to a person, trust, we would love to talk to you. Please email us at admissions@memphisseminary.edu, or you can give us a call at 901-334-5891. Well, everybody, that's our time for tonight. We thank you so much for joining us. If you know someone that you feel will benefit from this particular cohort, or you want to share with them about the Doctor of Ministry program at Memphis Theological Seminary, just go ahead and text them the link to this video or to our webpage. Encourage them to go ahead and take that next step in ministry, so that they can not only be equipped, but also have their skills refined while they're on the journey that God has called them to. So any last statements from our associate dean or our mentor? If not, you all, he's already put in the chat on Facebook the link to be able to get his book. Please, you all support Dr. Andre Johnson. He is doing the work. If you also Google him, you will see all the wonderful things that he is doing, not only in academia, but also out here on the streets. So thank you all for joining us. I hope you all have a great night, and see you next Monday night at 6 p.m. Take care.